Sometime soon in November, we'll have one of the biggest and most important game-changing updates that will be essential for Dune Awakening's survival. It introduces two of the most highly requested features, a system that literally lets you pack up your entire base. Every wall, workstation, storage chest, even down to the granular details of the circuit configuration, water, blood, completely captures your base as it stands, and in this initial phase it's going to allow you to cross into any Seitch and drop your base down. But there is a few things we definitely need to cover in order for you to understand the limitations, what to expect. But that's just the start. This update also finally lets us carry our harvester from Haga Basin to the deep desert while it's harnessed. There's a new Spice Wars radio station. There's tons of excellent updates to go through. If you do find this helpful at all, please consider liking and subscribing. These videos take time. Appreciate it. Let's go. Man, oh man, I tell you what, going from Haga Basin to deep desert now as a solo player has never been easier. You can finally transport your harvester from Haga Basin to deep desert and vice versa while not losing any inventory, at least in my testing. Give it a few days just in case, as I can only cover a tiny fraction of scenarios, but from what I tested, inventory across all the various vehicles stayed intact, and you'll be able to carry not just the harvester, but the buggy, assault, even the sand bike if you needed to. You'll be able to do that with all vehicles, excluding the carrier. The biggest thing you need to know is currently right now we still can't have passengers, so you will be jumping in the carrier solo, harnessing any of the various vehicles, then flying into deep desert and meeting your mates there. It's also worth noting, because we're building up to what I call Dune Awakening 1.0, in this initial stage, it's completely fine to fly to Harko Village or Arakeen with any of the various vehicles harnessed, and then go to deep desert. They'll spawn fine. But the big takeaway is you won't be able to connect to your Chome Bank storage. You'll rock up there, go to the Chome Bank, and there'll be no vehicle listed. Now, I suspect that when we can have passengers, if someone else is in one of the vehicles, they will probably be able to access the inventory of the vehicle that they're in. So say you're in a carrier ornithopter and you have your mate in the harvester, you fly to Arakeen or Harko, both of you will spawn in at one of the cities. Whoever is the pilot or driver for the vehicle that's being harnessed will have access to the inventory. That's just my speculation. That would make more sense. Let me know in the comments if you think that's how it'll work. But hey, at least now we can finally transport harvester to the deep desert, saving so much time. Keeping in mind that in December we will be getting the storage container, which we all hope has tons and tons of storage, and hopefully also be connected to the Chome Bank to make it very easy to move things if you're wanting to take a break. But there you have it. Finally, we have the carrier and all vehicles harnessed, going to deep desert and back to Haga Basin. And as far as I can tell from my testing, I didn't lose any items. I had a bunch of scenarios with all different items, even did some harvesting in the deep desert, came back to Haga Basin, no worries. Still, just be careful when this first goes live. You know how it is, you never know, but let's keep going because we have probably one of the most important features for the longevity of Dune Awakening, and that is the first initial stage of building up to server merging and condensing the population into what many of us will speculate will be connecting more Haga Basin instances to existing deep deserts. Because it is worth noting now that the server meshing is no longer a thing. Before there was 9 servers that would make up the deep desert, but from my understanding, we have 1 server, and I think if there's too much load on it, it creates another instance, and then you can join that deep desert. So there has been some massive changes to the back end, and with that comes this build up and lead in of the merging. So phase 1 for this server merge and character transfer rollout is this incredible tool called the base backup tool. Make sure you use the chapters where you need them, as we will be going through a lot of info. And if you're one of those players who have just been powering up your base every 20 days, definitely consider using this base backup tool, as basically it's designed if you want to take a long break or prepare for upcoming transfers. I was quite terrified to test this on my own base with over 700 hours in the test environment, and to really test this feature out, I'm going to take one of the biggest risks where if this fails, I probably won't be making these update videos anymore. So we're going to risk it all. We're going to try use the base backup tool to completely relocate this base. I'm going to run you through what you need to do, and more importantly, all the validations, rules, everything that you should need to know if you're going to do this process yourself or in the future. So for starters, to access the base backup tool, when it initially rolls out, you will need to go into your research and unlock it. It is in the Iron Tier 3 list, and here it is. Probably just be called base backup tool. They may change the naming, but it's 10 iron ingots to craft, and it's 3 points, intel points, to unlock. Now, the first thing you need to do if you're going to consider moving your base is we're going to need to break down all these vehicles because, and I'll show you because we're not going to break down any of these vehicles, the base backup tool cannot capture vehicles. I doubt it'll ever will, but it'd be freaking amazing if it could. Currently, you can only craft the base backup tool, which we're going to call BBT from now on. So the BBT can be crafted only from your fabricator, the OG, at least currently. If you're going to do this, make sure you just craft a couple. Don't really need to, but just in case. And just to show you what's at risk here, we have container after container filled of items that I've collected for this playtest to bring these videos to you. This base backup tool, it's going to capture everything. So for instance, this advanced fabricator, we're going to change it to circuit 6 for input and output. For the garment fabricator, we're going to disable this. For this storage container, we're going to rename it and we'll call it Risk It for the Biscuit. We'll also change the access level to owner. Also noting in the survival fabricator, we have a couple items here. We're going to have one of the large ore refineries running with these in the queue. So some aluminum. We'll have the second one also processing. We're going to disable this pentashield, but you get the idea. We've got all these little things that are happening right now, and we're going to see how much of this actually transfers over. A good thing to check is your Sub-fief, as this tells us exactly how much storage we have. So we're hoping that by the end of this should be pretty much exactly the same, give or take some water or power differences. But storage should technically be very similar. And we're going to grab a backup tool. But here we go. Let's try back up this base. This is going to be pretty much the most exhaustive test. I don't think anyone has risked it. And hopefully this works. Otherwise, this will be the last video. But here we go. We're going to right click. We should get a pop-up. This is your first warning. You're about to back up your base. If you do this, you will completely and fully remove this whole base from the world. This includes the Sub-fief consoles, all placeable, all building pieces inside every land claim, meaning all the staked extra building space that you've claimed. All of it will be basically captured like a Pokeball. We're going to say, do you want to continue? We're going to hit confirm. And see if we hit any other rules or validations. We're going to hit confirm. Boom. Holy shit. There goes the whole base. Whoa. And all the vehicles have dropped as they will not be copied. So I'm just going to quickly move these vehicles and see if we can place the base back down and go from there. But just quickly scouting the area, you'll notice that there is no dropped chests, as everything, every little last bit of resource in containers have all been captured. Move the vehicles, but I've left one. Just to give you an example of one of the areas that you could run into is the placement blocked by another object. If anything is blocking your placement, you will get the placement blocked by another object. That will have to be cleared before you can place it down. In this case, we're just moving this bike, which will clear that error, which now I can show you by far the coolest feature of this whole system. And it's not going to work for everyone because it will rely on you going to the exact location in any of the Haga Basin Seitches within your world, at least in this initial phase, and hitting right click, which is toggle snap to origin. This feature allows you to toggle your base exactly how it was in your instance you were in, which is incredible. So here it is just over here. If I hit right click, boom, it already knows exactly where it needs to go. This is pretty mind-blowing tech. So all we're doing in this test is we're just going to figure out if we can properly back up the base with all the resources, the land claimed, which we can clearly see all the land claim has been captured. And before we place this down, the other really important thing that I need to add for those scenarios where you can't snap it to the location, they've actually done some pretty clever stuff in the background. So what we can do is we reset the backup tool, place this somewhere a little bit differently. See how right now those pieces are in red? And if we get it closer to the ground, see how it's adding additional pieces to try connect your base to the terrain. This is what's going to help this apply to so many more scenarios, because the snap to origin is the happy path, the golden scenario. All you have to do is have the exact same location free and you can take your whole base, no worries. But what they've also done to try help all of us who have built into all the various terrain is programmed in this ability for the base to try add additional base pieces to help you actually take those bases that look crazy, built into all kinds of surface area, and then try help apply a few extra building pieces to help many of us still be able to use this function. It's certainly helpful. It's not going to work for everyone, but it is a cool feature that they've tried to add, and maybe they will build on further. They've also very cleverly tried to highlight all the things that are like overlapping if you were to try place down the base. So it does sort of capture everything inside. But in my case, I'm finding it very hard to be able to place it. Now, I think it's because of these pieces that are highlighted saying that they're not supported, because those are the only indications. And I'm not 100% sure why that's the case. But what we're going to do is we're just going to use the simple happy path and toggle it to exactly where I built it. And we're going to left click and we're going to confirm, and hopefully everything is intact. Boom, the whole base just got created. That's incredible. Now we'll go in and see if all the changes that we've made are still there. First, we'll check the Sub-fief. Okay, let me check. So I'll throw up a comparison of the Sub-fief and see if everything is there. So we'll look side by side. I'm just going to say for now that everything is intact. I won't know for sure until I go and edit this video, but it's looking good. Let's check the fabricator. It's still got the items left in the storage. It's even kept the circuit 6. It also kept the pentashield disabled. The storage container kept its name. It kept the correct access level. The garment fabricator is disabled. I mean, everything is exactly as the base was when I left it. Just check the storage container. Everything looks like it's still there, even in all the same places. Nothing has changed. And let's have a look at the large ore refiner. It's still running. Oh man, this is pretty powerful stuff. So there you go, risk it for the biscuit, and it actually looks like they've pulled this off. The only thing you will have to update is the permission list. I'm pretty sure that will completely reset, so you will have to add everyone back to the permission list. Now the only issue I noticed is that once I'd copied the base, I wasn't able to construct anything from the containers. There is a little bit of a workaround for not being able to access any of your storage while using the construction tool, and that is going to your Sub-fief and changing the circuits. Currently that is a workaround. As you can see, I've changed some of the circuits and it's picking up some of my inventory now. Now I've done quite a few tests, and this works perfectly when transferring to a new Seitch within your same world. So I can confirm it's working. Your whole base will be transferred. I do still caution everyone when this does go live, give it some more time just in case. But now we're going to go through some of the rules and validations that you're going to hit. Definitely note, this won't work for everyone. It's still going to be a pain in the butt to place some of these bases down, but they have tried to account for a good amount of us. So the very first validation you'll find is the base not found. That just means you're too far away from the base. As you get closer, that error will go away. The next validation is if your Sub-fief is not on any foundation and you go confirm, you'll get the failed to backup base. So your Sub-fief will always have to be placed within your base, and particularly on foundation or support structures. This next validation is very important because many bases will probably fall under this category. So the way this backup tool works, it's only going to back up anything that is on structural or foundation pieces. Anything that sits on the ground, rocks, anything not supported by the foundation, structural pieces, which if you go into your structural tab while you have the building tool, any of these pieces, if any part of your base or containers or anything, these pieces, and you try to back up, you'll get the first warning message like normal. Then we hit confirm, and this is going to actually give you an exact count of all the placeables that are not connected to the building. So anything not sitting on the structures or foundation will appear at that figure where number 1 is. So I'll just read it out. There are 1 placeables that are not connected to the building. If you continue, these placeables will not be included in the backup and will be left behind. Do you wish to continue? We're going to go yes. It's going to remove everything but leave this container. So keep that in mind. It is helpful that it keeps the container, it doesn't delete it. So you will be able to go and confirm what's left behind, pick it up and move it still. And as you can see, we got that excellent addition of it trying to add extra pieces. There's an over limit behavior. So let's say if you have reached your 5,000 piece limit and you go to try relocate, currently as it stands, the functionality will still be able to add some foundation and support structures to accommodate placement. I don't know if that will be the plan going forward, but at least currently it does allow and support over 5,000 piece builds. I think that's really awesome. I hope they keep that, but don't know if it's going to stay forever. There is a limit to how many pieces it will add, but it's terrific that it does try to do that. Now, what happens if we try relocate our base and objects are sitting beneath the terrain? Well, you get the foundation is beneath terrain error. It's also worth noting that the change width is a very smooth action. Same with the change of depth, changing the height just like you normally would by control and going up and down. Now, the other scenario, which is a bit difficult, is let's say anything overlaps with an object, whether it be a vehicle, person, terrain, you'll get the placement blocked by another object. Now, if we try confirm this, we'll hit right click, but we won't be able to place it. So this is one validation you cannot get around. You will have to place your base where every object isn't overlapping with terrain, vehicles, people, or another Sub-fief. Good thing is it doesn't count on the resource nodes or anything other than just sitting behind the terrain, vehicles and objects. And you'll get the not enough support, which is very obvious. You just need to move the base down a little bit. It's important to note that the backup tool cannot be traded, banked, stored, pretty much anything outside having it in your personal inventory and doing this, going from one slot in your inventory to equipping it. The only other thing you can do is destroy the item. You'll be able to destroy the item manually. Just keep in mind you can destroy your entire base. If you stored it and you accidentally hit the X button while hovering over it, X, you can hit confirm. It's going to destroy that base. Douche, it's gone. When you open your container and you try drag it into the container, it's not going to work. No walls or sides rebuild, only the structural supports are generated. The other huge thing is, and I can't stress this enough, do not back up your base and go onto the sand dunes or put yourself at risk getting swallowed by a worm. If you get swallowed by a worm currently, you will lose the device. In fact, you'll lose everything. Your whole base will be gone if you get swallowed by a worm. We're still waiting on official comments on this, but I suspect this shouldn't be the case, but we don't know. So don't get eaten by the worm after backing up your base. You could lose everything. It's also worth noting that the backup of damaged structures, damage values will persist. Same for all durability within all the various items that you have. You can't use this tool in the deep desert, so keep in mind the 3 weeks, it's per sub-fief. So you can only perform it every 3 weeks on each individual sub-fief. At least that's my understanding. So technically you can move all 3 bases over to a new Seitch within your world all within the same day, but you won't be able to move those 3 bases for another 3 weeks after that. But it's worth noting, as an example, I have 3 sub-fiefs down. If I go and back up this base or this sub-fief, one, we won't be able to because we need foundation under the sub-fief. Now that we have the foundation, we should be able to back this base up. It's captured it with the terrain. But what we're highlighting here is, if we go to place down another sub-fief, we will be able to. But if we go to set down the backup tool, we won't be able to because we've already used the 3 sub-fief space. We'd have to go to another Seitch and place it down. So just keep that in mind. While it's stored, it doesn't actually count towards your sub-fief count, which in theory can kind of let you have additional bases. Just some will be stored. Here we're going to back up another base, just so you can see here we have the 2 stored. So another thing they've added to the main menu is this news feed. So they've added a news feed to the start menu. So you'll get these little notifications of developer updates, patch details, so that will help us keep on top of a lot of the most recent information. They've made some performance improvements to the research menu UI and for when you're performing searches. And just from some quick testing, it seems to be so much more responsive and better on the keyword search. But overall, I think everyone will be quite happy with the performance now. They've added these little yellow bars to the fuel cells. So the update says updated color of fuel cell items to show a yellow bar on the icon to match fuel bars in other menus. Not exactly certain what other menus they're talking about, as I don't recall any others being yellow, but let me know in the comments. They've done a massive cleanup of the exchange pop-up when you're selling and buying items, so it's a bit more similar to what it was previously. They've changed the quality input box to match others. The overlap with warnings is now fixed. That annoying issue where you'd put in a figure but the price would be red, that's been fixed. The colors are aligned. Icons now look the same as the ones in inventory. So they've pretty much just cleaned the UI up, and overall it is looking better. They've added a scrolling to the radio station menu to support fitting more in the UI. So you can see here we can scroll, and this brings us to the awesome addition of Spice Wars. Now, I was a huge fan of Spice Wars. I played that game a ton. You'll find some absolute bangers in there, some extremely ambient soundtracks to go perfect with the deadly dangers that can be around in Arrakis. One of the other changes to the radio station is that you will get some of the Dune Spice Wars soundtrack playing in between shows on the Atreides radio station. They've also added sounds to replace mode in the building tool when replacing different pieces. Not so certain what this one's referring to. Let me know in the comments if you know. So something worth noting for controller players, they've changed the controller input for players for the player-to-player trading. So if you initiate a trade using your controller, the part you'll see that's changed is the ready. It used to be the right thumbstick. Now you just have to hold X and you will see a nice little animation of the purple for completing the transaction. However, if we want to transfer some Solari, we would be using the right thumbstick for this. So I'll hit the right thumbstick and then we'll just have to do the usual process of selecting the amount, hit X, and then again, it's X, not right thumbstick to complete the transaction. So just a few minor little changes to controls there. So they've changed the UI message in the vehicle backup tools recovery mode to clarify the durability requirements. As you can see down the bottom there is a 15%. So it clearly says it's going to take 15% of that 100% max durability when recovering. The other addition is Solido projection will be red when we don't have enough coin. The other thing they've added is when you do get to full health from healing and you try to use one of your healing items, you will get another message. When the player tries to use health consumables while health is full, we'll just wait till the white. So you will have to wait till you're completely healed so that it's not in the process of healing, and then you'll just get the health full. Now there's tons of fixes. The vast majority of these you won't ever need to worry about or care about, but some of the more important fixes is to do with the combat, where they've fixed projectile weapons applying damage to the wrong vehicle module. This has been a consistent issue, and I've tested this in the past and had the same issue, so a little bit skeptical, but now we should get the projectile applying the right damage to the right vehicle module. Another big one is that they fixed an exploit making it possible to restore durability on vehicle parts. This was one of the last few remaining exploits for restoring durability. I won't go through the process, but there's plenty of info out there, but they've fixed that issue, so no more can you use that exploit to fix vehicle parts. They've fixed an issue that caused the buggy mining turret to stay active when switching between the laser and the driver's seat. However, I've been using the buggy and the laser is very bugged. It's coming from the middle of the vehicle. This will probably be fixed by the time it goes live, but do mind, this could be something you see. They'll fix it soon. Another vehicle change, they fixed the notification during mining with the buggy, which showing the total amount of collected resources 0. Using a carrier ornithopter to harness other vehicles should no longer result in invisible collision that prevents its landing and normal operation. This one doesn't seem to be 100% yet. I'm still getting those terrible collisions when using the harvester and bouncing off each other. So it looks like some more room for improvement there. At least that's what I'm associating this fix. They've also fixed an issue where vehicles wiped by a Coriolis storm would not have their inventories cleared. Must have been a fair few rare scenarios, as I've never experienced that. They fixed the pentashield pushing vehicles by denying their placement over them. So you'll get the placement blocked by another object when trying to build any of the various pentashields while the vehicle is intersecting or within their placement range. They've fixed the inconsistent behavior for auto run on foot. So just like the vehicles, now when you run, you'll be able to open your map and you will continue to run. This is a really nice little feature, and then you can just hit map and you're still on the move. Nice that they've adjusted and aligned the vehicle behavior the same as running. The other one worth noting is players will no longer get stuck in the boss room of testing station 71. The upgraded Regis Spice container now completes the construct of Sandcrawler Centrifuge Mark 6 step in the operational readiness. This is nice because previously building the unique wouldn't count towards it. And most of these other change, I'll just put them up on the screen, but nothing the vast majority of us will notice. But not really worth covering. I'll let you guys read the rest of them. But thanks very much for watching. If you did get anything out of this, consider liking and subscribing. It goes a really long way. Hopefully this was helpful. Spent a lot of time just getting this a bit more collected than just reading some shit out. So I hope you appreciate it. Thanks very much. Peace.